Have you ever found yourself sitting at the kitchen table, a glossy travel brochure spread open, its vibrant pages promising the adventure of a lifetime? Perhaps you've pictured it, you and your partner finally retired with the time and resources to see the wonders you've only ever dreamed of. The golden light of a safari sunset, the enigmatic gaze of an ancient pyramid, the mist-shrouded peaks of a lost city. It feels like the ultimate reward for a life well lived, a grand finale to decades of hard work. But what if that dream, the one so beautifully packaged in those brochures, holds a hidden risk? What if the very destinations that call to our sense of adventure could quietly, insidiously put our lives in jeopardy, especially after the age of 70? When we think about retirement travel, our minds naturally drift to images of relaxation and enrichment, strolling through charming European old towns, savoring local cuisine on a sun-drenched terrace, or perhaps marveling at wildlife from a safe and comfortable distance. But the truth, a truth rarely whispered in the travel industry, is that not every country is a welcoming haven as we age. The body at 75 is not the body at 40. Our needs, our resilience, and our ability to navigate certain environments change in ways that can be both subtle and profound. An experience that felt exhilarating and thrilling in our younger years can suddenly become utterly exhausting, or worse, genuinely dangerous. The danger is often not the obvious, headline-grabbing kind. It's rarely about a single dramatic event. Instead, it's a quiet accumulation of factors, a subtle conspiracy of circumstances. It can be hidden in the very air you breathe, in the sweltering intensity of the midday sun, in the unfamiliar bacteria lurking in a delicious-looking street food dish, or in the agonizingly slow response time of an ambulance on a remote mountain road. This isn't a conversation intended to spark fear or to chain you to your armchair. Far from it. Travel remains one of the most profoundly enriching experiences a person can have at any age. It is a testament to a life of curiosity and a spirit that refuses to grow old. However, a fundamental shift in priorities occurs as we enter our golden years. Your safety, your comfort, and your well-being must become the non-negotiable foundation upon which every travel plan is built. Some destinations, for all their undeniable beauty and historical significance, simply present an unacceptable concentration of risks for seniors. These risks can manifest as extreme weather patterns that strain the cardiovascular system, healthcare systems that are tragically ill-equipped to handle a complex medical emergency, simmering political unrest that can erupt without warning, or pervasive health hazards that could transform a dream vacation into a prolonged and frightening nightmare. It is therefore not an act of cowardice, but one of profound wisdom to know which destinations warrant a second, third, and perhaps final thought before you click that Book Now button. In this in-depth exploration, we are going to pull back the curtain on 4 countries that can be surprisingly perilous for travelers over the age of 70. You might already suspect 1 or 2 of the names on this list, but others could be places you've long held on your personal bucket list, places you never imagined would pose a significant threat. I invite you to stay with me on this journey, because the final country we discuss might just be the most unexpected of them all, and understanding why it's on this list could change the way you plan your adventures forever. If you believe that traveling with wisdom is just as important as traveling with passion, let me know by commenting the number 1 down below. Your engagement helps us understand what truly matters to you. Our first destination is a land of breathtaking contrasts, a place where dramatic coastlines crash against rugged mountains and vast savannas teem with some of the planet's most majestic wildlife. We're talking about South Africa. The very name evokes images of thrilling safaris in Kruger National Park, the iconic silhouette of Table Mountain watching over Cape Town, and a rich, complex tapestry of cultures. It promises an adventure unlike any other. But for the traveler over 70, this promise is shadowed by challenges that extend far beyond the usual inconveniences of long-haul travel. Safety, unfortunately, remains the most pressing and unavoidable concern. While it is true that millions of tourists visit South Africa each year and return with nothing but cherished memories, it is also an undeniable reality that the country grapples with regions experiencing high rates of violent crime, including armed robbery, carjacking, and home invasion-style burglaries. This criminal activity is not confined to specific no-go zones. It can and does occur in both sprawling urban centers and isolated rural areas. For a visitor, particularly an older one who may appear more vulnerable, the risk is heightened. Unfamiliarity with local safety protocols, such as knowing which neighborhoods to avoid after dark, the importance of not displaying valuables, or even the common practice of not stopping at red lights late at night in certain areas, can place you in a precarious situation without you ever realizing the danger. Even the simple act of driving between a game reserve and your next hotel can carry implicit hazards, as many roads are poorly lit or traverse long, isolated stretches where finding assistance in case of a breakdown or an incident can be a daunting and frightening prospect. Beyond the specter of crime, the physical demands of South Africa's most popular activities are frequently and significantly underestimated. A safari excursion, the centerpiece of many trips, sounds wonderfully passive. You're just sitting in a vehicle after all. But the reality often involves many long hours spent bouncing over rough, unpaved tracks in an open-air Jeep. This can be punishing on the back, the neck, and the joints, an experience some affectionately, or not so affectionately, call safari spine. The simple act of climbing in and out of a high-clearance 4x4 vehicle multiple times a day can be a challenge for anyone with hip or knee issues. Exploring national parks and nature reserves often involves walking on uneven, rocky ground, and the ever-present, unpredictable weather can add another layer of strain. One can experience scorching, dehydrating heat in one region and then face a sudden, chilling downpour in another. For a senior with limited mobility, a chronic health condition, or simply less stamina than they once had, these physical and environmental shifts can lead to a state of profound fatigue far more quickly than anticipated. One can experience scorching, dehydrating heat in one region and then face a sudden, chilling downpour in another. For a senior with limited mobility, a chronic health condition, or simply less stamina than they once had, these physical and environmental shifts can lead to a state of profound fatigue far more quickly than anticipated. And what happens if that fatigue turns into something more serious? This brings us to the critical issue of healthcare. Access to medical facilities varies dramatically across the country. In major cities like Cape Town and Johannesburg, you will find world-class private hospitals with excellent specialists and state-of-the-art equipment. However, the moment you venture into the more remote, rural, or safari areas where the true magic of the country lies, the picture changes entirely. You may find only a small, basic clinic with limited staff, diagnostic tools, and supplies. In the event of a serious illness, like a heart attack or a severe injury from a fall, a medical evacuation to a major urban center would be necessary. This process is not only incredibly expensive, but also time-consuming and stressful, eating up critical minutes and hours when immediate care is most vital. Seniors with pre-existing heart conditions, respiratory issues, or those reliant on a strict medication regimen must ask themselves the hard question: how quickly could I get the help I need if something went terribly wrong?
Have you ever found yourself in a situation abroad where you felt your safety was a real concern? It's a deeply unsettling feeling. Share your story in the comments below. Learning from each other's experiences is one of the most powerful tools we have as a community of travelers. Finally, there's the more mundane, but equally important, risk of illness from food and water. While the high-end hotels and safari lodges that cater to an international clientele generally maintain impeccable standards of hygiene, the same cannot be said for all smaller establishments, roadside stalls, or local markets. Consuming untreated tap water or inadequately prepared food can lead to severe gastrointestinal problems. For a younger person, this might mean a couple of uncomfortable days. For an older adult, it can lead to dangerous dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, and a much longer, more difficult recovery. Adding to this are the potential requirements for vaccinations and preventative medications, such as for malaria in certain regions. These can sometimes have side effects or interact with existing prescriptions, making a thorough consultation with your doctor an absolute prerequisite before travel. For seniors who still feel the pull of South Africa's wild beauty, meticulous planning is not just recommended, it is essential. Opting for highly reputable, all-inclusive tour companies that manage all logistics, arranging private and secure transfers instead of self-driving, and traveling during the milder shoulder seasons can certainly mitigate some of the risks. But the unvarnished reality is that the potent combination of security threats, strenuous physical demands, and inconsistent healthcare access makes it a destination that requires a sober and serious assessment. For many over 70, the wiser path may be to choose a location where the logistics are simpler and the risks far lower. From the wilds of Africa, we travel north to the cradle of civilization, a place that ignites the imagination with its monumental pyramids, its sprawling temples, and its stories of pharaohs and gods. We are, of course, in Egypt. For decades, it has been a pinnacle destination for history buffs and dreamers alike. Yet for travelers in their 70s and beyond, the romantic vision of Egypt can collide with a reality that is far more demanding and potentially more dangerous than any photograph could ever convey. The first and most immediate challenge is the climate. It is a force to be reckoned with, an omnipresent character in the Egyptian story. During the peak summer months, from May to September, daytime temperatures in places like Luxor and Aswan can routinely soar to well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius. This is not a gentle, humid heat. It is a dry, baking, and utterly relentless desert sun that can quickly lead to severe dehydration, heat exhaustion, or even life-threatening heat stroke. Older adults are physiologically more susceptible to these conditions. Our bodies don't regulate temperature as efficiently as they used to, and the dry desert air wicks moisture from the body with incredible speed, sapping energy far faster than one might expect. Even during the cooler winter months, the direct sunlight can be surprisingly intense, and the constant, conscious effort to stay hydrated and seek shade can transform a day of awe-inspiring sightseeing into an exhausting battle for survival. This leads directly to the second major hurdle, the immense physical demands of visiting Egypt's most iconic sites. The pyramids of Giza, the temples of Karnak, the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, these are not modern, accessible tourist attractions. They are ancient monuments, and exploring them requires navigating uneven, broken stone pathways, climbing long flights of steep, often crumbling steps, and, in many cases, contorting your body to stoop into narrow, low-ceilinged, and poorly lit passages. Handrails are a rarity, and smooth, level surfaces are virtually non-existent. A full day of touring can easily involve hours upon hours of standing and walking, with very few opportunities to sit and rest, especially in a shaded, cool area. For an individual over 70, particularly someone dealing with arthritis, balance issues, vertigo, or reduced stamina, these conditions are not merely uncomfortable, they are a recipe for a dangerous fall or a complete physical burnout that could derail the entire trip. If you're finding these in-depth insights valuable for your future travel planning, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Your support allows us to continue creating content like this to help you travel safely and wisely.
Then there is the chaotic, overwhelming sensory experience of Egypt's urban environments, most notably Cairo. The city moves to a rhythm that can be deeply unsettling for an unprepared visitor. Crossing a multi-lane street without the aid of pedestrian signals, amidst a seemingly lawless torrent of cars, buses, and motorcycles, is an exercise in courage and agility. The constant blare of horns, the thick haze of dust and air pollution, and the sheer density of the crowds in markets like the Khan el-Halili Bazaar can quickly lead to sensory overload, aggravating respiratory conditions and draining your energy reserves. While public transportation is not a realistic option for most tourists, even navigating the city with taxis or private drivers can be a white-knuckle experience, as road safety standards are vastly different from what one might be used to in the United States. Healthcare quality, much like in South Africa, is a tale of two systems. Major cities have private hospitals that can provide a reasonable standard of care for common ailments or minor injuries. However, should you fall ill or have an accident in a more remote location, perhaps during a Nile cruise between cities, you may find that the local resources are severely limited, with less modern equipment and a potential language barrier complicating your care. A serious medical emergency would likely necessitate an evacuation, a process fraught with logistical challenges. Furthermore, food and water safety remains a persistent concern. The allure of trying local street food is strong, but the risk of contracting what is infamously known as Pharaoh's revenge or traveler's diarrhea is very real. This common ailment can be particularly severe for seniors, leading to rapid dehydration and potentially requiring medical intervention. Even in reputable hotels, it is advised to drink only bottled water and be cautious with raw fruits and vegetables. For those still captivated by the undeniable pull of Egypt's ancient wonders, timing and preparation are everything. Traveling in the coolest months, from November to February, is a must. Booking a small group or private tour that moves at a slower pace and allows for ample rest is crucial. Choosing high-end accommodations with reliable air conditioning and trustworthy on-site dining can make the experience more manageable. Nevertheless, the formidable combination of extreme weather, significant physical strain, urban chaos, and inconsistent healthcare makes Egypt a high-risk destination for many travelers in their 70s and beyond, a dream that should be approached with extreme caution, if at all. Our third destination takes us to a land of immense scale, of sweeping history, and of a culture that has produced some of the world's greatest literature, music, and art. From the iconic candy-colored onion domes of St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow to the imperial grandeur of St. Petersburg's Winter Palace, Russia presents a facade of deep and fascinating allure. However, for a senior American traveler today, venturing into this vast nation poses a unique and complex set of difficulties that go far beyond dealing with long flights and cold weather. The first and most significant concern, which has intensified dramatically in recent years, is the geopolitical climate. Strained diplomatic relations between the United States and Russia have created an environment of unpredictability and heightened scrutiny for American citizens. This translates into tangible travel challenges. Visa rules can change with little notice, entry and exit requirements can be arbitrarily enforced, and the level of surveillance at borders and within the country is palpable. The U.S. Department of State has issued strong advisories, warning of the potential for harassment and the limited ability of the U.S. Embassy to provide assistance to its citizens.
This political tension can transform what should be a routine trip into a source of constant, low-grade anxiety, a feeling of being unwelcome or watched, which can poison the entire travel experience before you've even left the airport. Language presents another formidable barrier, one that is far more pronounced in Russia than in many other parts of Europe. Outside of the main tourist centers of Moscow and St. Petersburg, English is not widely spoken or understood. Public signage, train schedules, restaurant menus, and street signs are often exclusively in the Cyrillic alphabet. For an older traveler who may already feel a bit less confident when navigating unfamiliar surroundings, this can make even the most basic tasks, like ordering a meal, asking for directions to a restroom, or trying to buy a ticket at a train station, unnecessarily challenging and stressful. Without a dedicated guide or a fluent translator at your side at all times, simple misunderstandings can easily escalate into frustrating delays or even situations that compromise your safety. This concern about language bleeds directly into the critical area of medical access. While major cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg boast modern, well-equipped private hospitals, the quality, availability, and standard of care can decline sharply and quickly once you venture outside these metropolitan hubs. Ambulance services in some regions may be slow to respond, and emergency protocols can be bewilderingly different. Now imagine facing a health crisis, a sudden chest pain, a dizzy spell, a fall on an icy sidewalk, and trying to communicate your complex medical history, your current symptoms, and your list of allergies or medications to a doctor or paramedic who does not understand English. The potential for a critical misdiagnosis or a delay in treatment is a risk that cannot be overstated for any senior with chronic health conditions. Have you ever encountered a language barrier so significant it caused a major problem during your travels? It can be a truly isolating experience. We would be interested to hear how you handled it in the comments section. Furthermore, the physical environment itself poses its own set of challenges. The Russian winter is legendary for a reason. It is beautiful but brutally harsh, with sub-zero temperatures and sidewalks that are often coated in a treacherous layer of ice, making falls a constant and serious risk. A slip and fall that might result in a bruise for a 30-year-old can easily cause a hip fracture or a broken wrist for a 75-year-old, an injury that would be catastrophic to sustain so far from home. Even in the warmer months, the weather can be unpredictable, and the sheer scale of the country means that significant distances must be covered between attractions. This often requires long journeys by train or domestic flights, which can be physically draining and mentally taxing for anyone with limited stamina or mobility issues.
Finally, the strict enforcement of local laws and a different cultural understanding of public behavior can inadvertently ensnare visitors. Political demonstrations are treated with zero tolerance, and certain actions or statements that might seem innocuous in the U.S. can be interpreted very differently and lead to severe consequences. While any traveler should respect local laws, the need for constant vigilance and self-censorship can make it difficult to relax and genuinely enjoy the trip. Russia's immense cultural and historical wealth is undeniable, but for many American travelers over 70, the current confluence of geopolitical complexity, profound language barriers, uncertain medical support, and environmental challenges can turn a potential adventure into a stressful and draining ordeal. In the current climate, it may be a far wiser and safer choice to appreciate Russia's rich culture from a distance through the wealth of books, documentaries, and museum exhibits available, rather than risking the myriad complications of an in-person visit. For our final destination, we journey to South America, to a country whose name is synonymous with ancient mysteries and breathtaking landscapes. From the soaring, cloud-piercing peaks of the Andes to the enigmatic ruins of Machu Picchu, Peru has firmly established itself as a bucket list destination for wanderers from every corner of the globe.
But for seniors over 70, what appears to be the trip of a lifetime in brochures and on screen can present very real and often invisible physiological and logistical risks. The single greatest challenge in Peru is not something you can see or touch. It's the very air you breathe, or rather, the lack of it. Altitude is the silent adversary of many Peruvian adventures. Many of the country's most celebrated destinations, including the gateway city of Cusco and the legendary citadel of Machu Picchu itself, are situated thousands of feet above sea level. Cusco sits at a dizzying 11,152 feet. For older adults, particularly those with underlying heart or lung conditions such as hypertension, COPD, or asthma, the thin air and reduced oxygen levels can trigger acute mountain sickness, or soroche, as it's known locally. The symptoms can manifest within hours of arrival and range from debilitating headaches, nausea, and dizziness to severe shortness of breath and extreme fatigue. Recovery can take several precious days of your vacation, and in severe cases, it can escalate into a life-threatening medical emergency like high-altitude cerebral or pulmonary edema, requiring immediate and costly evacuation to a lower altitude. It's a risk that has little to do with physical fitness. It can strike even the most active and healthy seniors without warning. Transportation within the country can also be unexpectedly physically demanding. Reaching the remote and spectacular sites that make Peru so special often involves long, winding bus rides on narrow mountain roads with hairpin turns and dizzying drop-offs. These journeys, while scenic, can be exhausting and nerve-wracking. The road conditions in some areas may be poorly maintained, leading to a bumpy and uncomfortable ride. Even the more luxurious options, like the famous train to Aguas Calientes, the town at the base of Machu Picchu, or boat trips on the vast Lake Titicaca, can be crowded and require navigating gaps or steps while boarding and disembarking, often with luggage in tow. For seniors with mobility or balance issues, these seemingly simple transitional moments can be fraught with the potential for a fall.
The fourth country might be a surprise to many. Let us know by commenting the number 4 if you've learned something new about the hidden challenges of traveling in Peru today. Your feedback helps us create more of the content you find most useful. The quality and accessibility of healthcare in Peru, as in our other destinations, vary dramatically by location. Major cities like Lima have modern hospitals and clinics with decent facilities that can handle most medical situations. However, once you travel into the high-altitude regions of the Andes or the remote Sacred Valley, medical infrastructure becomes sparse. You are more likely to find small, basic clinics with limited diagnostic equipment, few specialist doctors, and staff who may not speak English. If a serious health issue were to arise while you are exploring a remote village or an archaeological site, obtaining advanced medical care could take many hours. This delay in treatment can be particularly risky for older travelers, for whom every minute counts in a medical emergency. The golden hour of medicine is a luxury that remote Peru simply cannot offer. The local climate adds yet another layer of complexity. In the Andes, the weather is notoriously fickle and can change in the blink of an eye, shifting from brilliant sunshine and warmth to bone-chilling cold and driving rain within a single afternoon. In the Amazonian regions of the country, the heat and humidity can be oppressive, leading to rapid dehydration and fatigue. This requires seniors to be prepared for a wide range of conditions, often within the same day, which means packing bulky layers and constantly managing their energy levels and hydration. As with many developing nations, food and water safety also remain an ongoing concern. Drinking unpurified tap water or eating uncooked foods from street vendors carries a high risk of gastrointestinal illness, which can be particularly hard on older digestive systems and lead to a slower, more difficult recovery. For those who remain determined to witness Peru's wonders, a cautious and deliberate approach is non-negotiable.
Acclimating for several days at a lower intermediate altitude before ascending to Cusco is essential. Traveling with a high-end, reputable tour operator who explicitly caters to the needs of older travelers, building plenty of rest days into the itinerary, and packing medications for altitude sickness are all critical precautions. With the right planning, some seniors can indeed enjoy the beauty of Peru, but for many, the trifecta of altitude-related health risks, limited access to emergency health care, and strenuous physical demands make it a destination best approached with extreme caution, or perhaps lovingly admired from afar, in favor of places that are gentler on the body and offer greater peace of mind at this precious stage of life.
This realization is not a defeat. It is not about giving up on adventure. It is about redefining it. It means choosing your destinations wisely, prioritizing well-being over a well-stamped passport. The right trip, the one that is perfectly calibrated to your current needs and abilities, can lift your spirits, bring you closer to your loved ones, and create memories that will warm your heart for years to come. It will remind you that the beauty of life and of this world does not fade with age. But ignoring the realities of your health, your mobility, and your safety can tragically transform what should be a wonderful, life-affirming experience into one of unnecessary hardship, stress, and regret. At this stage of life, protecting your peace and your well-being is the greatest and most profound gift you can give to yourself and to those who care about you. Let your travels be a source of pure joy, not a source of worry. Thank you for joining us on this important journey today. We would be honored to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and share one key takeaway you learned today and how you might use it in planning your future travels. Your thoughts and experiences are incredibly valuable to our entire community, so please don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us immense motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please show your support by giving it a like, subscribing to our channel, and sharing it with friends or family who might benefit from this information. Your support is what enables us to continue creating good, honest content designed to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.